Oh my god, you're the worst. We are back on Up, Up, and Away, a comic book movie review and news podcast. My name is Joe Gilpin. I am joined as always by my brother.
You'll never know why Joe called me the worst.
You're the worst. Every time right before we start up, you almost throw up, immediately before we begin.
Nervous.
You're not even nervous. It's weird. You're the weirdest, but the best. Thank you everyone for tuning in again. This is episode 9? I think we're on episode 9.
For the record, I didn't almost throw up.
This
time.
That makes you even more the worst. It is a pleasure to be back with you guys. Every Friday we come at you guys with movie reviews. We watch a movie, break it down beat for beat, talk about what makes it great, what could have been better. And every Tuesday we come to you with a whole bunch of news. This has been a wonderful experience so far. And today we are continuing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1. We're going to go with Captain America, the First Avenger, from 2011. Matt, do you want to give people the baseball card stats for this movie?
Sure. Captain America bats .322.
He bats way more than .322. He's huge.
Yeah, he was on PED, so he got popped.
Well, there's going to be an asterisk, but he's still batted.
Alright. This movie was directed by Joe Johnston. It was written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFreely.
With some scenes rewritten, a pass done on this movie by Joss Whedon, who would direct The Avengers and Avengers 2. He did a pass on this movie to kind of tie it all together with the next movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Marvel's The Avengers.
The release date for the entire United States was July 22nd, 2011.
Hell yeah.
So, about 5.
I was 21 for a week. That was great. I was wasted.
About 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Budget of $140 million. And you want to try and guess the box office?
140 mil. I'm going to guess it brought in, because Thor did a little bit more than I guessed. I'm going to go with, I think this movie did 400 mil. I think there was a lot of stuff going on.
Close, but less.
Just tell me.
370.6.
Okay, that's a really good haul. That more than doubled its budget. Can't be mad at that.
Plus 100 million.
Yeah.
And
you know what's weird? Those budget totals don't take into account marketing. So buying commercials and sending people on talk shows and stuff, billboards, everything that goes into marketing is never included in those budgets. Isn't that weird? So when you see a movie that just broke even, know that it actually did lose a shitload of money.
Right, because they did put more out there. You want to try and guess the Rotten Tomatoes score?
I'm going to guess, how much did Iron Man do? Iron Man was 95%.
Yeah, Iron Man was real high.
I'm going to guess this was high 80s, 88%.
No.
What was it?
80.
80%? That's weird. That's a little low.
You want to guess Metacritic? Because we never do Metacritic, but this one, I think,
91.
Warrants. No.
Low?
Yeah.
75.
No.
50?
Higher than that.
What is it?
66.
That's a sham. That is a shame. This movie's incredible.
Yeah.
We don't have a ton of... We have a couple things that we could shore up, but this is a really good movie.
Yeah, I don't know where you're getting a D from.
Is it just because he's kind of Jolly G. Willikers through part of it, or what is it?
Well, then you can't say that you like anything, really.
Yeah. What's going on? That's weird. That sucks. They're wrong. We'll get to rankings and ratings at the end, but that's incorrect.
Yeah. Thought I would just bring that up.
I knew
you'd react like that.
I know it's an opinion and that opinions can't be wrong, or so I thought. Here we are now with a wrong opinion. We figured something out today.
Alright, you just want to...
Sure, well we can give a little background on who Captain America as a character is and where we are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Captain America is a superhero, he's the leader of the Avengers. He actually was not an original Avenger, but he is a super soldier for the United States government fighting for truth, justice, and the American way, trademark not belonging to Marvel, of course. And he has super strength, super speed, endurance. He's a master strategist, and he is driven by an impeccable sense of right and wrong. That's usually what defines the character best, is his understanding of power and responsibility.
Yeah, he's the modern-day Christopher Reeve Superman.
Yeah, I would say that. Chris Evans as him is the modern-day Chris Reeve.
Yeah.
I'd believe that. Stay off horses.
Yeah, which is also funny, not to say that Chris Evans isn't a good human being, because he is, but Christopher Reeve was actually, a humanitarian. It was actually, a very vocal, and he was Superman.
Sure.
And Chris Evans is some dude from Boston.
Yeah, he's a Boston dude who will certainly talk about social issues when he needs to. But most of what Chris Evans seems to talk about is, like, retweeting space photos.
Yeah, he's on his Twitter. It's like, whoa, look at Saturn.
It's all talking about Boston sports and, yo, check out this quasar.
Oh, it's funny when you hear him talk in his Boston accent.
It's great. It's when he gets, like, really amped up or he gets around other Boston dudes, he turns into the prototypical dude from Boston.
And every Boston celebrity's like that. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, they always jump back into their roots.
It's wonderful. So far in the MCU, we have had Iron Man, we've had The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, and Thor. We lead into this movie. I think on background in this movie, all you really need to know is on Earth, this is set in the 1940s, so not a lot of stuff has happened before this. But in Thor, there was an antecedent to this movie. In the 900s, there was a battle in Norway. In Tonsberg between the Ice Giants and Odin. And we'll get to why that's important.
Jotunheim v. Asgard.
Yes, on Midgard.
Yeah.
Sure, because why not fuck up one of your own places? You gotta come to fucking Midgard to fuck up our shit.
Yeah.
Dicks. Anyway, Matt, would you like to go into the beat-by-beat of this movie?
Sure. The movie starts out, actually, in present day.
Yes.
And, it's a bunch of scientists, we assume.
It starts very X-Files-y. It starts super X-Files-y.
Oh, I've been a good episode.
It kind of was. There was a season 1 episode called Ice that was very similar to this.
Yeah, but they didn't find Captain America. They just found Parasite.
Parasite America? Captain Parasite? It could have been a thing.
You don't know. Yeah.
This is all from used footage from that episode. They cut a lot. They cut a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they just CGI'd Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny out. Scientists, we assume they're scientists, in the Arctic, find an old frozen aircraft.
I took them as military guys. Oh, no, scientists found it. Yeah, that sounds right. Continue.
And
by the way, I've been told that I say continue too much. I don't care. Continue.
They are cutting a hole into this ship and to go into it.
Sure. And they're going to investigate.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out what the fuck this is. It could be a spaceship.
Yeah, they don't know. That's what it looked like from the outside. It looked like a UFO, crash landing.
Yeah. And they go in and they are very shocked to see the Captain America shield.
Which they recognize. I think that's very interesting. He's obviously a part of modern day lore.
Yeah, they tell
in a very important way.
One of the scientists tells somebody, says, go wake up the general.
No, that to me, I think they called in the military. I think scientists found it and called in the military, and that's what we see.
Yeah.
Mulder and Scully called in Skinner. I don't know. Skinner wasn't military. You know what I mean.
Let's get off the X-Files stuff. Yeah, and they say,
wake up. If it's there naturally.
Wake up the general. This has been waiting long enough. And it immediately cuts to March 1942, where Johann Schmidt, played by Hugo Weaving, is in Tonsberg, Norway.
Interesting.
And he is
did not realize that until this movie, that connection. Because we watched Thor, and then this week, did not realize the connection until today.
Yeah. And we...
seen this movie half a dozen times.
Yeah, just on TV or just...
No, yeah, it's always on FX. Yeah. There's always a Marvel movie on FX.
It's true. Nice plug for FX. Yeah, Johann Schmidt goes there with his men searching for the Tesseract.
Yes.
This ancient relic from Odin's weapons chamber that they believe is there.
It is a power source that they believe they can use to harness for their own militaristic purposes.
Yeah, and because Schmidt wants to walk among the gods.
Yes. This clan is worshipping Odin and the Norse mythology, and they have been holding on to and hiding the Tesseract. They recognize and realize its power, and they want to keep it sacred, and they want to keep it away from tainted hands.
This isn't a church. They are worshipping.
No, for sure. Where the Tesseract is on Earth, and it belonged to Odin. This has never been brought up in the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to date.
You'd think Thor might have brought it up.
Thor might have brought it up. Did they leave it there? Did they forget it there?
Why did they bring it?
Why did they bring it? Why is the Tesseract on Earth? I know we talked a lot last week about how Odin isn't as sterlingly trustworthy as he might be presented to us, as you might assume. And I think this is another example of that. Odin waged this war, and one of his weapons got left behind on Earth.
Yeah.
I guess we have to assume by mistake.
Or did he give it to them?
Did he give it to them as like a worship kind of thing? But we have no evidence to sway us one way or another. Anything we say is going to be a guess. I think he just forgot it.
Yeah, which Odin kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's a fuck up. It causes a lot of pain. It sets off Loki's plan later in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not to jump ahead, but based off...
you probably know that.
Yeah, it's based... This movie's 5 years old. It's based off Odin's fuck up that a lot of things with this Tesseract, a lot of suffering because of this Tesseract, happens. I can't believe this has never been brought up.
Yeah, since. I mean, we're getting Thor Ragnarok.
If we didn't put this together... I've watched this movie... I've watched the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe many times. It's never been close to alluded to. Except for that one Chiron for half a second in Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah. And then Thor.
And Thor, you have to piece it together.
Yeah.
You get a smoky view of it through two lenses.
Well, not to jump ahead for like super spoilers for Thor 2 or anything, but do you think they're going to touch on that, considering where Odin is right now?
Ooh, interesting. I think they're going to have to. I would like it a lot if they addressed it in his character that he is not exactly who he puts forward, and he is a very flawed character. Because he's very much treated like a god, even among the Asgardian people.
Yeah. And then the scene shifts to New York City, same time, March 1942, we're supposed to assume. And it shows Steve Rogers, a tiny fellow trying to enlist for the army.
Yeah, Tiny Steve!
Tiny Steve!
Tiny Rick! He is trying and failing to enlist for the military because he is far too sickly. He has a whole list of ailments, including ear discharge.
From both ears.
From both ears, so it says our ear discharge. Got a little laugh at our rear discharge on that one. Gonna be honest with you guys, I'm basically 11 years old. But he's physically incapable of serving in the military.
Yeah. And he's trying under different aliases he says he's from Paramus. He says he's from Brooklyn. He's trying, but it's just not happening.
What's your name, son? Lamont. Yeah, that's right. Lamont Rogers.
Like nodding. Like nailed that one.
Yep. Yes, he's like pumping his fist. Got him.
And one of...
Sir, you're having some rear discharge. Please step away.
Joe, while Steve, I'm sure he's sad the fact that he can't serve because his father served in the military, he goes and sees a movie, and while there, there's a heckler.
Yes. While
the image is shown of like the wars, like what you can do to help your country.
A little bit of propaganda. Is shown, and Steve is obviously feeling a personal responsibility to go over and to help the war effort. People are going, they're fighting for what's right. He should be over there fighting for what's right along with them. And
Steve tells this heckler to shut up, prompting them to fight.
A little bit of an ass whooping. In this scene, we get a nice little Easter egg of him holding up a trash can like it's a shield.
Yeah.
Obviously, a little bit of foreshadowing. We also get a little foreshadowing with the line, "I can do this all day." Yeah. We'll get to that in a couple of months, I bet.
Yeah, that's coming back.
But it's obviously he loses this fight, and he's feeling a lot of shame because of it.
Well, he loses, but he's also saved by his best friend, James Barnes.
Yes, Bucky. Yeah. Bucky Barnes.
James Buchanan Barnes.
They have been friends since they were little kids, and Bucky, as is customary, comes to Steve's defense.
And Bucky is in full military garb. He's got his papers, and he's going to be shipped out in the 107th Infantry, which is what Steve wanted to be in, because that's what his father was in.
Yeah. He's living the life Steve wishes he could.
Yeah, good looking, he's like 6'2".
He's very popular, he's easy to talk to.
Yeah, girls love him.
Right now I want to talk about the greater good, because I think it's interesting, when you hear that it's Captain America, you don't, obviously he never lies, he never does anything wrong. He's lying to try to get into the military.
Yeah.
Because it's for the greater good. Do you what do you take from that? The fact that Steve is willing to lie, is willing to do things that are demonstrably, quote-unquote, wrong, to be able to do greater good. This is a big part of the character, I think. He is not lawful good, he's neutral good.
Yeah, I think that we all want to do what's right, but I think we all also have a moral obligation to follow the law and follow rules, because without rules, this is anarchy. And
but he's not going to follow an unjust law.
Right. And it's a tricky situation, but I mean, his heart is so pure that he gets away with it.
I think it's a good thing for this character that he's not just doing whatever he's told.
I
He very much
that, yeah.
Yeah, he has a compass that he follows.
Yeah, and only he follows.
Yes.
And that is a theme throughout every single appearance he makes.
Absolutely.
In this movie and beyond.
Yeah, it's going to continue for the character.
And he and Bucky, trying to have a little fun before Bucky gets shipped out, go on a double date with these two girls to the Stark Expo.
Big, it's not even an Easter egg. I mean, it's just right
He's a
there.
character.
Yeah, no. It's not Tony Stark, but it's Tony's father, Howard Stark.
Played by Dominic Cooper.
Who will eventually look like John Slattery, apparently. He is there, and Howard is showing off what will eventually become repulsor technology.
Yeah.
The antecedent to repulsor technology. He's showing off just the modern day weapons tech.
And it is really cool just to see, because it is very Tony-like. He's got the swagger. He's kissing the girl on stage. And if you know what goes on in the MCU, this is an interesting scene for a couple of reasons.
Oh, totally.
It's Cap just watching Howard Stark, considering how him and Tony's relationship is. And he's just like, oh, yeah, that's cool, Howard Stark. But also, Bucky Barnes is watching Howard Stark.
Also very true.
And we're not going to go into that, but I'm sure you know why that's interesting.
Yeah. If you don't know, you'll find out.
Yeah, go watch a certain movie that came out pretty recently.
Go watch. Captain America, The War of Northern Aggression.
And it's at this time that we see Steve kind of wanders off to an enlistment camp on site, and he tries to enlist again, and Bucky tells him not to, but Steve's going to do it anyway. And it's at this time that Steve is basically plucked by a doctor.
Dr. Erskine.
Played by the wonderful Stanley Tucci.
But the Tooch is not loose in this movie. He's actually pretty restrained.
Yeah, the Tooch is not loose.
Unfortunately.
If you watch a lot of Stanley Tucci movies, as we have, you will notice that he is loose in a lot of them.
It's a very tight Tooch in this.
Yeah, tight Tooch.
It's a very tight Tooch. But
Erskine
is a brilliant scientist a German scientist who sees a spark of greatness in Steve and sees that this is someone who desperately wants to give back to the country but is unable to.
And we see that Erskine overrides Steve's, I guess you could say...
his medical discharge.
Yeah, his medical discharge. And, rear discharge. And he is in.
Yes, he asks Steve a couple of questions, the main one being, do you want to kill Nazis? Yeah. This is a very important question in the movie. Steve is not a soldier because he wants to kill Nazis. He is not in this war to kill Nazis. His answer is, I don't like bullets.
I don't care where they come from.
I don't care where they come from.
That's key. I don't care where they come from.
He's testing Steve's aggression, and he's testing Steve's restraint. Because it would be very understandable for this guy who's been picked on his entire life, who's been the small guy's entire life. Give me a gun, let me shoot a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
That's not something anybody agrees with, but it's at least something that everybody understands the impulse, I think.
Yeah. Someone like that.
Yeah, sure. Steve doesn't have that. He's someone who is powerless, and he just wants to stand up for what's right. If he had power, he would be able to stand up for what's right even better.
And Erskine tells Steve that he's been recruited into the Strategic Scientific Reserve as a part of a super soldier experiment.
Do you think Steve is already heroic? Does he already have it within him to be a hero?
Oh, yeah.
Or is that going to come with transformation, with time, and with is pressure going to make this diamond, or is he already internally Captain America?
He's already internally Captain America, and I think we see that when he's training with the military. And it's at this time that we meet a couple of more characters. Colonel Chester Phillips, played by
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Big get for the Marvel Cinematic Universe at this time. This was their Anthony Hopkins for this movie.
Yeah, it's true. And we also see a British agent, Peggy Carter.
Yes.
Played by Hayley Atwell.
Yes.
She will become a recurring character.
She'll become a recurring character in the Captain America movies, and will receive her own 2-season series, Agent Carter.
Yeah.
Dominic Cooper will also be a member of that.
And we've also seen some of the later members of this movie make appearances in that show.
Yes. In this SSR training camp, Steve is sticking out like a sore thumb because he is much littler than everyone else. Everybody else is what you would think of when you would think of elite army recruits.
Yeah.
They are strong, they're fast, they're tough, they're there to kill Nazis.
Yeah.
When they were asked, do you want to kill Nazis, they said, fuck yeah, I do. Are you fucking kidding me? Give me a gun, let's go fucking kill Nazis.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting if they showed a couple of those guys getting that same question.
Like the Gilmore Hodge character.
Yes, Gilmore Hodge is kind of the bully to Steve throughout much of this.
And he also was very rude to Peggy.
Yes. Oh, he's super rude to Peggy.
Peggy
Carter is, she's kind of leading this program, and apparently she was very instrumental in getting it up and running, and she is one of the few people that's really giving Steve his due shot at proving everybody wrong. She also doesn't believe in him, I think.
Colonel Chester Phillips definitely doesn't.
No, Phillips is very much, I need good men, I need to make sure this works. I think that's what he wants.
He just wants, I want Hodge.
Yeah, he wants somebody who is going to make the program work because he needs the best super soldier possible.
Yeah.
This is all to get together to figure out who is the best to go through this super soldier program, because we only have resource to do it one time to begin with. And if it fucks up the first time, we're probably not going to get a second chance.
Yeah.
So they need the perfect candidate.
Yeah, exactly. And we see there's some training of Steve. He's really struggling.
He's uncoordinated. He's
slow.
He's slow. He gets tired. He just can't get any of it out.
And
he gets taken advantage of a lot.
We see there's a scene where they're running, and their officer tells them, whoever can get to the top of this flagpole and retrieve this flag and give it back to me can ride in Peggy Carter's car.
Doesn't have to do any more of this however long run.
Yeah.
We're halfway through the run. If you can get this flag, you're done.
Yeah. And so
everybody's jumping up, trying to climb on top
of
each other. Nobody's ever gotten it.
Steve's just standing off to the side. And then he's like, alright, fall back in line. And then Steve casually just walks up to it, undoes the latch.
At the bottom of the flagpole, the pole falls. He just walks over, grabs the flag.
And hands it to him.
Resourceful moment. He fought smarter, not stronger.
Yeah.
Which makes sense for him. That's what he's had to do his entire life.
Yeah.
He's got to find the angle. He can't be a bull about things. He's got to
tactically
be a little bit more of a sleuth. He's got to do some sleuthing.
Yeah. Yeah, we both know how much we love sleuthing.
Oh, sleuthing.
Big Scooby-Doo fans over here.
Oh, it's grade A sleuthing. I thought it was a little... I would have personally liked the scene even a little bit more. It's a great scene. But I would have liked it a little bit more if he then hops in the cab and he takes the ride back. I thought it would have been effective if he said, I'll just finish the run anyway. You know what I mean? So he just, because he knows he has to get a little bit more in shape. He's got to push himself. He's already behind the 8 ball and a lot of that stuff. I understand why they just ended the scene. It's a great scene otherwise. I would have liked if he got it and then still didn't take the spoils of victory.
Yeah, but he was tired.
He was very tired. Even better. Gotta push. Well, you're not Captain America.
Well, clearly I am, because we made the same choice. I'd be a solid Captain America. I wouldn't be as good as Steve, but that'd be alright.
Maddie.
I wouldn't go evil.
Maddie.
There's a chance.
Little bit evil. A little bit.
A good amount.
Like a cheat day evil.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm disciplined all week. I get one day to myself.
I get Saturdays.
Yeah.
And then we see Phillips and Erskine are talking about Steve while they're doing jumping jacks over there.
They're getting close to decision time, and Erskine is still really pushing for Steve. Phillips still just does not think he can do it.
Yeah.
He is not the kind to sacrifice. He's not the kind that you can rely on. if times are going to get tough.
And as kind of a final test, Phillips throws a dummy grenade into the soldiers where they're all doing their calisthenics. And everybody runs away, everybody except Steve, who just jumps on top of it and is telling everybody to get back. He would have given it all up.
He was willing to sacrifice his life.
Yeah.
He was willing to jump on the open grenade.
Which is some foreshadowing.
For sure.
For sure.
Shadowing.
And is it this time that Steve is selected?
He is going to be the super soldier. He is going to receive the super soldier treatment, and hopefully things are going to go well. It's at this time that we get another scene of Schmidt and Zola, Armin Zola, being his right-hand man, his own kind of Dr. Erskine type.
Well, actually right before that is when Erskine tells Steve.
Oh, that scene came before?
Yeah.
Continue.
Erskine tells Steve about Johann Schmidt and that they knew each other. And that Erskine used the super soldier serum on Schmidt. And he told Steve that it was an imperfect version and it had some very bad side effects. And while he told Steve that this serum turns good to great and it turns worse to evil.
Yes. Part of me thought when he said it was an imperfect version, I don't think he necessarily meant the serum. I think he might have meant Schmidt himself was just not worthy of this.
Right.
I think that's a very valid reading of me to this.
Yeah.
The imperfect version was not, because we see super soldiers all the time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Especially now.
Yeah, now we're getting a ton of them. Another example, Banner and Blonsky are both recipients of the super soldier serum.
A super soldier serum.
A super soldier serum. Banner a little bit less so, that's a little bit more muddy.
Blonsky.
But Blonsky definitely got a super soldier serum.
From Erskine's old thing. We saw his name on it.
Oh, yeah. He receives it in the exact same way that we're going to see coming up.
Yeah.
And it just tends to amplify whatever is inside of you.
Yeah.
What do you think that means for Bruce Banner? Is he just is he driven by this rage and this repression and aggression already before anything that has to do with the Hulk? Does it just amplify that part of him? Or because it's gamma rays and not Vita rays?
Yeah, they make a point of that. They say it's Vita rays. And Banner tried to use gamma rays. So, I guess that's how they can play that off? That it was the gamma?
Or maybe Bruce was just the Hulk before that ever got to him.
Yeah.
Both are valid interpretations. Caveat emptor.
And, and now is when the scene shifted to Germany with Schmidt and Dr. Arnim Zola. Arnim Zola, played by Toby Jones.
Toby Jones, doing a great job.
This is a very good cast.
Toby Jones.
Pretty early. We keep touting all these great casts that are coming up. With Thor 3, Black Panther, and Spider-Man. Captain America 1.
Even from the early times, yeah, they were doing pretty well. I mean, yeah.
This is a solid.
It was good stuff.
And it shows Zola trying to basically create the technology and the weaponry to hold the Tesseract. They're trying to harness its power.
Yes. Not just hold it, but to harness it and to siphon away its seemingly endless power.
And Schmidt is using this to rule the world.
Yes. I think it's very interesting. He's very influenced by the gods. He keeps saying the gods. Mm-hmm. Does that mean the Asgardians?
He says Odin.
Yeah, he says Odin.
Yeah.
He's driven by Odin and by the Asgardians. Another reference to Odin being a little bit of a shithead.
Yeah.
Not obviously he can't control that at all.
Yeah.
But for sure, don't leave your Tesseract around.
Yeah, honestly. You know that thing's powerful.
It's like 1560s. He's like, where's that fucking thing again? I swear to God, it was just here.
Thor.
What?
We see
Thor's being like a shitty 14-year-old, just like playing his guitar up in his room. What, Dad? Fuck.
God. He's already got the long hair too.
Yeah.
The scene shifts back to New York City, and it shows Steve getting ready.
Yep.
For the super soldier serum.
Interesting conversation in the car between Peggy and Steve as she drives him over. She's kind of acting as his liaison.
Yeah, it's basically like Steve is a total wimp.
He has no idea how to talk to women.
Yeah, he's super awkward.
Definitely a virgin.
Yeah.
100%.
They kind of say that without saying it.
Yeah, he's never even kissed a woman.
Yeah.
I believe they say that openly.
He says he's waiting for the right woman.
Waiting for the right dance partner. Never even danced with a girl.
I think dance is...
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And Peggy just lets him know that they believe in him and that they trust him.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
It's a lot of what's going on.
Yeah, honestly.
Please don't fuck this up, Steve. Please don't fuck this up.
You know what's interesting about the super soldier serum is that everybody it was kind of used on, Schmidt, Blonsky, even Banner to an extent. Banner kind of a worse example of that. They didn't get bigger like Steve did.
Yeah, Steve is the only guy who
went from 4'11" to 6'2".
Well, let's talk about the mechanism of the super soldier serum. Do you consider it to be unearned power?
No.
Why?
Well, not in Steve's case.
Not in Steve's case. Steve almost feels like this weird exception, because if anybody else uses it, you feel like it's unearned, and it's almost like it's a steroid, kind of.
Yeah.
But if Steve uses it, it's fine, it's earned. Because it's almost kind of bringing out who he's supposed to be.
Yeah. A symbol.
But isn't the Red Skull who Schmidt's supposed to be? Isn't the Abomination who Blonsky's supposed to be? Is that earned in the same way? Do you think?
I mean, Steve's earned the right. Steve's the only one who's been able to control it.
True. It's driven everyone else mad.
Yeah. And I think that Steve just never had that burning desire to kill or to... He was never driven by motive. His only motive was do the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's earned in his pureness.
And even do the right thing, it's not even the right thing for Steve Rogers.
No, yeah.
It's the right thing for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it is earned for him.
He's only saved by the purity of his motives.
Yeah.
That's all he has in a lot of times.
And Steve goes in to the chamber to get his super soldier serum, and he starts yelling in pain.
It's very painful. It's very intense.
We're not seeing him transform.
No, it's. I'm glad we don't. I think that would have been
freaky,
and it probably wouldn't hold up on CGI too well.
That's true.
Whereas this holds up really well.
It probably wouldn't have been expensive too.
Oh, it would have been so expensive. It's a rebirth. It's very kind of Hulkish. You see his eyes, and it's incredibly intense, and it's very painful. But instead of stopping when everybody is about to shut down,
yeah, Peggy Carter says shut it down.
Yeah, she feels empathy for him. She can't keep going with it.
Howard Stark is concerned. He's there administering this test.
He's there creating him. This is, in a lot of ways, it's Erskine's designs and Erskine's formula.
Yeah.
But Stark is the one administering it.
Yeah.
He's creating him. He's the Frankenstein flipping the switch.
Do you think it's his chamber?
I do think it's his chamber.
That he designed that. He's the number one military contractor.
He's their only military contractor, I believe. I could be wrong.
Well,
with that.
I think they said number one. So.
But Steve pushes through. He demands that they let him continue.
I can do this!
Yeah, he does not want to stop, and so they say, cool, fuck it, and they clip it, and he goes, and he emerges from that container.
When that thing cracks open, and the Captain America theme, is that the first time we hear it?
I don't think so.
I think we might...
No, we've heard it before then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, and it's just Chris Evans and...
It's a great shot.
In all his glory.
Total beefcake moment. This is going to get a little homoerotic at times. He looks really good in that shot.
Yeah. And you know how hard he had to work for that one shot.
Yeah. That shot of him coming out, and then that shot of Peggy, like, putting her hand on his chest a little bit.
Yeah, she was like, how do you feel? And he goes, taller.
Great line.
And yeah, that was 100% improv by Haley Atwell. Her, like, acting kind of sexually aroused by him.
Yeah, I'm sure improv is a good word for that. Yeah, okay. For sure. He spent all morning getting, like, painted with oils. He looks like that. Improv is the word. Okay, Haley.
And we see Colonel Phillips go like, the son of a bitch did it.
Yeah. He's pleasantly surprised.
They have a super soldier, dude.
Yeah.
Could you imagine how hype that would be?
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody's not sure if he's about to drop dead or can he do what they want him to do. This is just the first step of a lot more.
Yeah.
Although hopefully this means they're going to be able to create a ton more super soldiers.
Yeah.
Right, Matt? That's what happens next. That's the next step.
Yeah, of course, that's what you do.
Yeah.
But
small problem.
It turns out that Johann Schmidt had dispatched an assassin to
a spy. He was a spy, I believe.
Yeah. And he was supposed to steal the formula, which he does. He takes a vial, and he also kills Dr. Erskine.
Shoots Dr. Erskine. Steve isn't able to save him, and he blows up much of the chamber where everybody is.
And the formula gets crashed on the ground.
He escapes.
With a vial.
Shoots a bunch of people. It's terrible. So they don't have...
Well, also, I wanted to point out, when Erskine's dying in Steve's arms, he points to Steve's heart.
Yes.
He touches Steve's heart and doesn't say a word, but...
It's a little the opposite of what Haley Atwell did.
Yeah. At this point, Steve put on a shirt, so...
Yes.
And he's still wearing his little Steve pants, so they're all like... They look like capris.
They're very high-watery.
Yeah.
He's still nerded up. So Schmidt has sent an assassin to kill Erskine.
Heinz Kruger.
I think it's very interesting that Erskine is only killed upon successful completion.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell that guy, hey man, make sure they definitely don't get the one thing that could win them this war. Like, there's one way they can win, make sure they don't get that way.
Well, maybe you wanted to make sure it worked.
Maybe. Before he gets the vial?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he doesn't like...
Because if Steve's dead, then it didn't work.
True.
And it's Steve then chases down Kruger.
Sweet chase scene. He's on foot. He's still trying to figure out his body.
He's like crashing into shit.
He's still like a little uncoordinated.
He's like a deer, like a baby deer. Which is smart, which is what it would be. And
my word, did you see that model run past with capri pants?
Yeah, especially in the 1930s. Nobody looked like that. Their best athlete was Babe Ruth.
Yeah. He looked like a piece of shit. He looked like a bunch of raccoons in a jersey. He looked awful.
And we see Steve, he chases down the assassin, and of course, the assassin pops a cyanide pill in his teeth.
Yeah.
And dies.
Although before that, he proclaims allegiance not to Nazis.
Not to Hitler.
But to Hydra, which is Schmidt's kind of sub-Nazi group.
Yeah.
I use sub loosely.
Yeah.
His para-Nazi group.
Yeah,
Para-Nazi, yeah.
That's a better way to put it.
So he's unable to avenge Erskine. A lot of good things have happened. They do have a super soldier, but they've lost the ability to make more super soldiers because they lost Erskine,
right?
Who apparently didn't take notes. And they're just left with this one Captain America, and they're not really sure what to do with him. They don't have capabilities for him. They don't know what the next step is.
Well, you know what they do? They make him Captain America, but they don't make him a soldier. They use him in propaganda.
Sure, they make him a celebrity.
Yeah. And he's in these USO shows, and he is promoting war bonds.
Before that, though, I think it's interesting. We go straight from this scene to another scene with Zola and Schmidt, where a bunch of Nazis come in. They're basically yelling at Schmidt, saying the Fuhrer, Hitler, obviously, is mad that you're kind of, taking as much power as you are, and you're not really following directions anymore. So he has his own display of technological strength.
Yeah.
And he uses the Tesseract to fire this kind of gun, which just vaporizes all of them.
Oh, yeah. They are all super vaporized. We don't know if they're dead.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that closer to the end. I think it's interesting that they're using Hitler to kind of, put the Red Skull over as more of a villain. They're like, man, Hitler can't even trust this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly.
It's very
History's greatest villain is I hate that guy.
He's really just a loose cannon. He needs to clean up his gosh darn game. What's going on? But Schmidt believes himself to be a god at this point.
Oh, yeah.
He now controls the power of the gods. That makes him a god by his own rubric.
Yeah. And
from here, we get into where Captain America goes.
Yeah.
He is a propaganda piece.
Yeah, with a spangly suit.
He's got a little show that he puts together with a whole bunch of backup dancers, and he's got a speech he reads. He's selling war bonds.
And he punches Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, he punches Adolf Hitler every night. It's great. Fake Hitler.
Yeah, it's not the real Hitler.
He's a celebrity. He's a freak.
And they show... they give this show to the actual troops.
Yes. Before that, though, it's kind of shown that it's... I think there's a couple of beats where it shows that this is intoxicating for Steve. Yeah. He kind of likes it. He's popular. He's surrounded by a lot of pretty girls. Pretty girls are smiling at him for the first time in his life.
Well, my God, look at him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's, getting... Everybody wants to take a photo with him.
You cannot tell me that anybody in the world at this point is in better shape.
No, yeah. He is the
pinnacle.
Prime level athlete.
Yeah. Yes. Like, his 40 times like a 3.6.
Sure. And he's kind of taken with this lifestyle. Yeah. And then he gets a rude awakening.
Yeah. And yeah, they go in, we just know it's Europe. They never really say where that is, do they?
No, I assumed it was Germany, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Probably not Germany, actually.
It's probably right outside of Germany.
Yeah.
Maybe
like Poland or something, yeah.
And Steve and the girls are giving a show. Oh, it says in Italy.
Oh, there you
go. For active servicemen. Steve is basically booed off the stage.
Yeah, the soldiers do not give a fuck about meeting Captain America.
Yeah.
They are out there risking their lives.
Bring back the girls!
Yeah, for sure. Did you ever see, I think it was in like 2007, 2008, the Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld, he went to go give a little speech to a bunch of soldiers about hey guys, we're, doing our best for you guys. You guys keep doing what you're going to do. Just a quick, I literally, it might have been a couple of sentences and he was out. But the soldiers started to be like, yeah, we don't have any armor or guns. We're super dying out here. You need to do something about it. And he literally was pulling at his collar to be like, whew, oh boy, didn't really bring my notes up here, everybody. Have answers for all of that. Care about each and every single one of you guys. We don't care if you care. Please give me a gun and some body armor.
I wonder if they took that.
Took that? I think maybe a little bit, because that's recent enough that they could have pulled it.
That's really funny.
Yeah, it's a really interesting speech to watch.
Oh, it's on YouTube?
Oh, yeah, I think so. And he gets completely blindsided in a very similar way.
And it's at this time that Steve is...
He still obviously... Captain America, he still feels the same duty to his country and to his fellow soldiers that he should be doing something.
He knows that they're right.
Yeah, that's it. He knows they're right. They tell him the truth.
He's a clown.
Yes.
And that's when we see a great nod to the comics. Steve Rogers is a very good artist.
Yes.
And he's drawing himself as a dancing monkey because he knows that he's a tool.
Yes.
And I mean that for a tool for the government.
Yeah.
But he's also a tool.
He is a little bit of a tool. He sings. He's a singer-dancer type.
Yeah. He's this is...
Is he really a captain?
We'll get into that. I have a theory about that. And then it's this time that he overhears that the 107th got captured.
Private America. Please.
Sergeant.
Please, sir. Sergeant America.
Yeah. He learns that the 107th has been taken...
The same 107th that Bucky Barnes was deployed in.
Yeah. And so Steve, just disregarding orders.
Yes, he takes control himself, using backup from Howard Stark and Haley Atwell, who are Peggy Carter, who feel the same sense of right and wrong, regardless of lawful or unlawful.
Yeah,
they are going to do what is right, and no one is organizing a mission to go and save these people because they just can't get to them. Nobody has the ability to go in and confidently save them. Steve says, well, I'm not fucking do it.
Well, what's interesting also with that is that this is a U.S. military movie.
Yes.
We don't see Navy, we don't see Air Force, any of that stuff. But it's interesting that it's Peggy and it's Howard taking Steve because they become founding members of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
They form their own thing.
Yes.
And it's kind of on those values of...
Their own, as it's been described in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, their own paramilitary group.
Yeah. And we see that Howard flies a plane to right over where they're captured, we're going to assume. And Steve infiltrates the...
There's a lot of untrained prowess. He's still obviously super raw and green. He doesn't quite know how to move his body in a lot of ways.
Yeah. This is his first time in combat.
Yeah, this is his first time really, since he chased down that guy, as far as we know, this is his first time pushing himself to his limits, and it's certainly his first time actively fighting Nazis and Hydra.
Yeah, and we see him, he successfully infiltrates, and he opens up the cage where some of them are, and they go, "Who are you?" Or, "Who are you supposed to be?" And he goes, "I'm Captain America." And they're just like, "Oh, okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Please, thank you."
And he gets them all out.
Whatever you say, champ.
And he basically orders them all. He's like, "This is what we're going to do. You're going to storm this gate. We're going to kick some ass, and we're going to get out of here."
Yep.
He says, "But I got to go find Bucky." Bucky was not in there.
Yep.
They told him that whoever was
in charge of the camp.
Yeah. They took Bucky somewhere else.
Why do you think they took Bucky?
He was strong.
He was strong. Do you think they were taking different people?
Yeah, I think they were taking different people.
Like
I think Bucky probably had a mouth on him.
Yeah, that would be a really interesting one-shot, because Marvel likes to do one-shots, and we might go over those one day if we're bored.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting if he maybe stood up for somebody, or if he was, mouthing off, or
it seems like a Bucky move.
What the situation was behind